Alright, let's do some building with React. In this video, we're going to accomplish a few things. Number one, we're going to set up our boilerplate code using Emmet. Number two, we're going to set up what will be our developer environment with script tags, letting us take advantage of React, React DOM, and Babel libraries. This will help our browser know how to interpret our code. Number three, we're going to look at how to choose the element within the DOM that we want our React to render to. And number four, we're going to learn about how to render React to the DOM for the first time. Alright, let's get started. Let's first create our boilerplate code. This course does assume some light knowledge of HTML, so HTML will be addressed as necessary when it comes to React, but we won't teach it at a completely introductory level. However, we'll establish the quickest way to get this going for all of our upcoming lessons with Emmet. Emmet allows us to write in HTML5. Currently, this isn't very helpful, but once we press the Tab button, all of our boilerplate code is written for us. Nice. If for some reason you're not able to install Emmet in whatever text editor you are using, then you are safe to just pause the video and type this out by hand. I'm going to go to the title tag and give our page a title of Let's React. Now, this content will not appear in your web page because title is in the head section of the file. Anything in the head section of the HTML file will be metadata that our browser will use to interpret our code in the body section. This title is going to be what appears on the tab for our page, not actually on the page. Okay, item 1 is checked off of our list. Let's look at item 2. We're going to set up our developer environment by using script tags to bring in React and Babel. This is not a real-life developer environment. That would be quite an elaborate setup. The goal of this course is to go over the basic syntax of React and get right into coding. We're going to use script tags to bring in the React library, the React DOM library, and the Babel library. You're free to use more updated versions of these libraries as they come out. However, I'd recommend that you use these as that will guarantee that no breaking changes occur in the future. You can type these by hand, or go to the Git repository related to this course and copy and paste from there to be sure you get the code down correctly. What are we doing here with the script tags in the header? The HTML script element is used to embed or reference an executable script. The src attribute points to the external script files for the React library, React DOM library, and the Babel library. This is like if you have an electric razor. It is literally no good to you, no matter how fancy the electric razor, unless you can plug it into the wall and gain access to electricity. Our React code we will write will be no good to us if our browser can't plug into these libraries to understand and interpret what we are doing. This is how our application is going to gain the power of React. It is how we are going to insert React into the DOM. And it's going to be how we take advantage of newer features after ES5 and also JSX. The reason we have React and React DOM as two different libraries is because there are use cases, such as React Native, where rendering to the DOM isn't needed for mobile development. So the library was split for people to make the decision for what they need depending upon the project they are working on. Because we will need our React to make it to the DOM, we'll use both scripts. Again, Babel is how we take advantage of ECMAScript beyond ES5 and deal with something called JSX that we will use in React. We'll take a deeper look at the magic of Babel in an upcoming lesson. Alright, we have completed steps 1 and 2. We have set up our boilerplate code and set up our developer environment. Our next two steps will be to choose our location within the DOM that we want to render our React content. And the second step will be to use another script tag for our React content. Generally, as a good separation of concerns practice, this would be in its own file, then linked to this HTML document. We'll do that later in upcoming lessons. For now, we'll let this dwell within the body of the HTML document we are currently in. Now, we're going to look at how simple it is to choose a piece of the DOM to render our React content. We'll go within the body, and best practice isn't just to throw React into the body tag to be displayed, but to create a separate element that you can treat as a root element to insert your React content. We'll create a simple div element and give it an ID of app. We're going to be able to target this location to insert our React content much the same way you might use CSS to target an ID for styling of your choice. Any React content will be rendered within the div tags with the ID of app. In the meantime, we'll leave some text saying that React has not rendered yet. If we see this when we preview our page, it means that somewhere we missed rendering React. Now, let's go ahead and create a script tag within our body where we will create with React for the first time. The syntax we're going to need for our script tag is to add an attribute of type. This specifies the media type of the script. Above in the head, we used an src attribute that pointed to the external script files for the React library, React DOM library, and Babel library. The type of script that we are using will wrap in quotes and set it to text/Babel. We'll need this ability to use Babel right away as we work with JSX. First, we're going to render React to the DOM. We'll use the react_dom.render method to do this. This will be a method, and remember, a method is just a function attached to an object. And this method will take two arguments. The first argument is the what of React. The second argument is the where of the location that you want it to be placed in the DOM. Let's start by calling our react_dom.render method. Our first argument is going to be our JSX. Let's go ahead and write this together, then we'll step back and look at what we just wrote. The official React doc states, "This funny tag syntax is neither a string nor HTML. It is called JSX, and it is a syntax extension to JavaScript. We recommend using it with React to describe what the UI, user interface, should look like. JSX may remind you of a template language, but it comes with the full power of JavaScript. JSX produces React elements." Oftentimes, JSX freaks people out who have been developers for a while because it looks like HTML. At a very early age, developers are taught separation of concerns. HTML has its place, CSS has its place, and JavaScript has its place. JSX seems to blur those lines. You are using what looks like HTML, but as Facebook says, comes with the full power of JavaScript. Because this can freak out veterans, many tutorials start without JSX, which can be quite complex for the newcomer. We won't do that, because this course is directed towards those who are very young in their careers, and you may not bring those red flags when you see this syntax. And JSX is just really intuitive. You can probably quite easily read this code and see that it's going to be the largest header tag displaying the text "Hello World." No mystery. Pretty straightforward. Now let's look at what our second argument would be. This is where we want our React content rendered to the DOM. You've probably done this quite a few times in the past. We'll just type in document.getElement by ID, and we'll pass into the argument the ID of app. And that is it. We will now target the div with the ID of app to insert our React content. So let's take a look at this. Make sure that you've saved your content, and then we'll take a first look at opening this in the browser. And there it is. Hello world. As you can probably guess, using React is not the quickest or best way to create a Hello World app. We aren't quite seeing the benefits of it yet, but now we know that everything is working. Let's go ahead and open up the console. You can do that on a Mac with Command-Shift-J, or on a Windows or Linux with Control-Shift-J. If we click on the head tag, we can see our script libraries we included. Then, we can go down to the body of our document. Let's click on our div with the ID of app. And when we do, we see our h1 tag with the content Hello World. So let's do a quick recap. In our head tag, we grab the script tags for React, React DOM, and Babel. These are the tools our browser needs in its metadata to read our React code and JSX in specific. We then located the position within the DOM that we wanted to insert our React by creating an element div with the ID of app. Next, we created a script tag to input our React code. We used the React DOM render method that takes two arguments, the what of the React content, in this case our JSX, and the second argument is the location you want to insert it into the DOM, in this case the location of the ID of app. That's it. Thanks for joining me in this lesson, and I'll see you in the next.